This video is brought to you by MR Hi-Fi Reviews. We are driven to create high-quality, visually stimulating, and honest, informative reviews of personal audio, home audio, and technology, bringing you the latest and greatest news from the audio industry. Visit us at mrhifi-reviews.com.
Hey friends, good to see you again. If this is your first time checking out the channel, my name is Marcello. In this video, I will be reviewing the drop Koss ESP95X. Founded in 1958, John Koss teamed up with engineer Martin Lang Jr. to develop a portable stereo phonograph player with side-wing speakers. Their new product allowed listeners to hear music by plugging in the world's first SP3 stereophone, and so it began. Koss has been developing and inventing headphones ever since. In 1990, Koss introduced the revolutionary ESP950 electrostatic headphone. Drop, a community-inspired product designer and online retailer, decided they wanted to partner with Koss to revive the standard-setting sound of the ESP950 for the Drop community. Skipping out on the large battery pack case, pleather ear pads originally included, Drop updated the color of the headphones to Drop's exclusive midnight blue, swapped the pads for thicker foam pads in velour, kept the Koss lifetime warranty, then dropped the price by over $500, giving birth to the Drop ESP95X. Electrostatic headphones work differently than more traditional headphones to create sound. Electrostatic drivers operate by placing a static electric charge on an ultralight film that floats between two perforated metal plates. Static cling and repulsion then cause the film to move when audio voltages are applied across the plates. This creates a distortion-free sound with little to no coloration. For this review, I'll be utilizing the included Koss Energizer and several digital analog converters to draw my conclusions about the sound of the Drop ESP95X, as well as comparing the sound signature to another Drop exclusive favorite, the Sennheiser HD660s. I will discuss my audio chain throughout the review, and I will list the gear used in the video description as well, so you can check them out. As with all my audio reviews, I will provide my music playlists I use to evaluate the headphones, so you can listen along. I'm not being compensated for this review, and all thoughts and impressions are my own. The review will cover 5 main areas: build quality and comfort, quality of sound, including bass, mids, and treble, tonality, imaging and soundstage, and lastly, synergy and comparisons. Then stick around to the end and I will give my overall conclusions and comparison to the Drop Sennheiser HD660s. So let's jump right in. First off, I want to thank Sheldon for sending me out his Drop ESP95X for me to review. The support of great individuals like Sheldon and companies sending me products to review is a huge help for me to continue to bring you guys new content. Thank you again. So let's talk build, quality, specs, comfort, and design. The Drop ESP95X electrostatic headphone are an open-air design with minimal acoustic damping. The 95X use a 1.5 micron C-grade polyester film as a diaphragm, which has been coated with semiconductive material. The ESP95X has a frequency response of 8 Hz to 35 kHz and includes an extendable headband made from stainless steel wrapped in a leatherette-style vinyl with a 12mm thick polyethylene foam padding. The yokes of the headphone have horizontal and vertical pivoting with a lock and detach mechanism. I recommend pulling out the stainless steel extendable headband on both sides before attempting to attach the headphones to the headband to make the whole process a little easier for you. Once on, the headband is extremely easy to adjust. The included ear pads are a soft velour wrapped foam. However, for this review, I will be evaluating the sound and comfort with aftermarket Dakoni pads Sheldon, the owner, upgraded them with. I will also link to the upgraded Dakoni pads in the video description below. The ESP95X include a proprietary 4-foot cable with a 6-foot extension cable. The headphones are easily some of the most comfortable headphones I have ever worn. They are extremely lightweight, weighing in only around 353 grams. The headphones feel similar to the Sennheiser 6XX, using a plastic-type material for their build. They don't feel extremely durable, however, this design also helps to keep them extremely lightweight. One thing to point out, it's important to take great care to make sure the headphones are kept and stored in an environment that is free of dust as well as moisture, as electrostatic headphones require more attention in this department compared to more traditional headphone technologies. Included with the headphones is the required E90X Electrostatic Energizer, whose volume control has a dual concentric continuous audio taper potentiometer. Whew! Say that 5 times fast. The dual side volume control has a split shaft for balance. This is probably going to be one of the few areas of the Energizer I really didn't like. Using the volume control can be a bit challenging to get the left and right audio channels to be properly balanced. KOSS does give you directions on how to do so in the included manual. However, I felt a better way around the volume control was to turn both sides of the volume control all the way down to the left. Once both sides were completely turned down, I then turned both sides together all the way to the right, obviously with no music playing, and then I utilized the preamp of one of my DACs or another headphone amplifier to control the volume. I will talk about this a bit more in the sound and synergy section of the review. In addition to the volume control on the front of the Energizer, you have a power on rocker switch, headphone output connection, and a 3.5mm audio input. On the rear of the Energizer, you have the power connection for the included AC power adapter and left and right RCA inputs. The Energizer feels a bit less built than I would prefer, with a plastic enclosure and a very lightweight feel to it. The Energizer can also experience audible interference if it is placed near a source that has 60 Hz noise, such as a power amplifier or some high intensity lamps. The noise will present itself as a constant hum. Owners of tube amplifiers will already know these struggles, as some tube amplifiers and tubes in general are more susceptible to things like Wi-Fi interference from routers or other Wi-Fi devices. I did actually experience this one time in the several weeks I was able to review the headphones. All I had to do, however, was just find a new place for the Energizer on my desk, and I was good to go. So don't let that discourage you if you are interested in giving this system a shot. I will link to Drop's website in the video description so you can go into more depth about the Energizer and headphone specs, such as frequency response, THD, signal to noise ratio, and more, if all of that stuff is your thing. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. If you are, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content, and don't forget to smash that like button for me. I greatly appreciate all of your support. Next, let's get into the quality of sound. The ESP95X produce a transparent, airy sound signature with excellent detail reproduction from well-recorded music. So when we're talking about quality of sound, let's start with bass. Bass on the ESP95X to my ears sounds pretty weak for most modern genres of music. If you enjoy bass from your headphones and don't plan to use EQ or tone control to increase the bass frequencies, you may be a little bit disappointed. Modern produced music such as electronic, pop, and rock just didn't have enough for my personal music listening preferences. However, your preferences, they might be perfect. When comparing to the HD6XX, which are not considered to be an extremely bass-heavy sound signature, to my ears the KOSS had even less bass presentation than the 6XX. Running the KOSS through the preamplifiers of the Feliks Elise and the ZMF Pendant seemed to help my perceived audible presentation of a bit more additional warmth to the overall sound signature of the KOSS. I took it a step farther and tested the KOSS with a Schitt LYR. I was able to make some modest improvements to the two bass frequencies, 20 Hz sub-bass and 400 Hz mid-bass regions, the LYR effects. The LYR was able to enrich the sound of Yo-Yo Ma's cello, as well as the string instruments from the Jurassic Park theme song. Where the LYR, in my opinion, just couldn't do quite enough was with a song like Blinding Lights from The Weeknd. Sub-bass and mid-bass frequencies from this track could not be altered quite enough to help the overall presentation when using the Schitt LYR, while still allowing the overall sound signature of the headphones to sound balanced. I believe EQ, however, would allow for more control of more of the frequency ranges, and you could likely key in a much better sounding presentation. I'll see if I can find a few EQ profiles for the headphone that are popular and link those in the video description for you to try out. However, for orchestral, classical, and some acoustic tracks with mostly vocals, the slight bass bumps from the Schitt low-key in the sub-bass and mid-bass regions were just what the headphone needed for my ears to warm things up a bit and give string instruments and vocals a bit more weight and life. The mid-range sounds decent to my ears. Again, in my opinion, I felt it benefited from some adjustments for much of the music I listened to. At times, vocals could sound a bit nasally from certain singers. I found myself adjusting the 2 kHz region down a bit on the low-key to allow for a more pleasing sound from vocals across much of the tracks from my music playlist. The treble on the ESP95X has strong clarity and image definition, with more than enough from the presence and brilliance regions. I didn't find the treble overly fatiguing from the Koss ESP95X and was usually able to utilize the low-key to bring down the 8 kHz region at times if I felt there was just too much brilliance for a certain track. The tonality of the Koss ESP95X is pretty good when listening to orchestral and classical music, but doesn't sound as enjoyable to my ears as the dropped Sennheiser HD660s, which I will discuss more in a moment when we get to that comparison. So let's talk about the stage and imaging of the Koss ESP95X. The stage of the Koss is very airy and open sounding. This is one of the greatest strengths of electrostatic technology in my opinion. Images on the stage are placed and defined extremely well, even competing with headphones 3 times their price range in my opinion. The stage sounds decently wide, left to right, not huge, but wider than the 6XX. When adding the ZMF Pendant into the chain, the subtle tube harmonics allowed me to hear a slight bump in the overall size of the perceived stage. The forward depth of the stage isn't very deep, again, a bit deeper than the 6XX. The biggest strengths of the 95X stage, in my opinion, are the amount of air and space they place between every single instrument. Every sound and every vocal is so clearly defined, imaging so well on their stage. So let's talk about synergy really quick before I get into my comparison with the 6XX and overall conclusion. Since the Koss Energizer is required to power the headphone, I can't really roll amps in the traditional way I would with other headphones I review. Instead, I decided to roll preamps and DACs with the Energizer to give you my thoughts around them. The preamps I rolled with the Energizer were the preamps of the topping A90 headphone amplifier, the Matrix Element X, the Schitt LYR 3, the Feliks Elise, and lastly, but definitely not least, the preamp of the ZMF Pendant. The digital analog converters I rolled with the Energizer were the topping D90, Schitt Bifrost 2, and the Matrix Element X. With the Koss Electrostats having such a neutral, clean presentation as it is, I found the topping A90 preamp and the Matrix Element X preamp probably to be my least favorite pairings with a Koss Energizer. The Schitt LYR 3 was an improvement in the sound overall, as well as was the preamp from the Feliks Elise, as was the preamp from the ZMF Pendant. When trying to synergize a really neutral sounding headphone, I felt adding any of the 2 preamplifiers into the audio chain was a step in the right direction. As far as DACs, I prefer the Schitt Bifrost, first for its staging, touch of warmth, and to my ears, most natural presentation, followed next by the topping D90 and Matrix Element X. Both of these DACs have strengths over each other in my opinion. The topping D90 sounded a bit more immediate, punchy, and dynamic to my ears, and the Matrix Element X sounded a bit more relaxed in the treble presentation while still giving me all the details and a better stage presentation than the D90. I will leave links in the description of the video for all of the products I am discussing. If you are thinking of making a purchase, please consider using one of my affiliate links, as I earn a small commission when you do this. This small commission allows me to keep dedicating time and resources to bringing you more content. Also, don't forget to subscribe today and smash that like button for me. So let's get into a quick comparison with the drop Sennheiser 6XX. Remember, when I'm making any comparisons on audio or giving you sound impressions, they're always my subjective impressions. We may hear things a little bit differently or have different audio chains that give us different impressions. That's all good. Don't worry about it. Let's not stress it. With that said, To my ears, the 6XX is a much warmer sounding headphone when comparing them to the KOSS ESP95X. The Sennheiser 6XX has better overall bass presentation to my ears, even if it may be a bit less defined for some tracks. The 6XX is also the more dynamic sounding of the two headphones, with bass hits and drums carrying more audible weight and impact to my ears. The 6XX has a beautiful sounding mid-range that plays so well with vocals to my ears, which in my opinion, the KOSS ESP95X will need some tone control or EQ to get the mid-range to sound as good as the mid-range of the Sennheiser. When comparing treble, the Sennheiser 6XX sounds a little bit rolled off, which may be a good thing for some listeners' preferences. The KOSS ESP95X has a much airier and more shimmery top end with excellent image definition and sparkle that the 6XX just doesn't present. Timbre of the 6XX sounds more natural to my ears, with instruments and vocals just sounding more enjoyable to me overall. Again, this is my preference. The stage of the 6XX is very intimate, with decent imaging and image definition. The KOSS present a more open and airy sounding stage. The ESP95X has precise imaging and very clear image definition, which is vastly superior to that of the Drop 6XX. The Sennheiser will definitely scale up and sound better across the board with a high-performing tube amplifier. However, the KOSS ESP95X to my ears still had the superior soundstage. As far as comfort between the headphones, I prefer the comfort of the KOSS ESP95X. They are so lightweight with very little clamp force compared to the tighter, less comfortable clamp force of the Sennheiser 6XX. When comparing build quality of the two headphones, the 6XX definitely feels more durable. They both have a similar plastic build, but I would expect the 6XX could take a bit more wear and tear compared to the ESP95X. So which one should you choose? Well, that is completely up to you, and it will greatly depend on your listening preferences. I always recommend demoing a pair, as only you will know what sounds the best for you. The KOSS ESP95X and the Sennheiser 6XX both tend to go on sale from time to time, especially the ESP95X. So it's worth creating a free drop membership, which I will link to in the video description for you, so this way you can keep an eye on the prices for any major sales. In conclusion, the KOSS ESP95X are a transparent, open-sounding headphone with image definition and accuracy on their soundstage that is superior in my opinion to some headphones that are more expensive than they are. They have very good resolution with lots of sparkle in the treble region and are extremely comfortable to wear. Add to this KOSS's lifetime warranty, and at the time of this video, Drop's 30-day return policy. This headphone system may be a good value for you if you place value on the benefits this system offers. If you are an audio enthusiast that is electrostatic curious and enjoy classical and orchestral music and want a different sound signature than something you may already own, then the KOSS ESP95X could be a headphone system you want to give a listen to. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and show your support by using my affiliate links in the description below. As always, thank you again, friends, for watching. Smash that like button and leave me a comment with your thoughts on the KOSS ESP95X and any other audio gear you want me to review next. Until next time, friends, much love.